Hi, I'm Kathy, and today I'm joined by Juan Carlos. He's my student and good friend, and I really appreciate being here today.
Thank you so much.
Today we will be practicing baby back bending from beginner stage to a little bit more advanced. We'll use a variety of props so that we can show the different stages. Today we'll be using 2 blocks, couple straps if you have them, or one, couple of blankets, a bolster, and a chair. Now if you don't have all of those props, it's all right. We'll be showing without the props as well and how to go into that action. So not to worry, you just get to your mat and start to do your work, all right? So the fundamentals of moving the shoulders, the fundamentals of the hips and the right actions to get into for a nice back bend. So it's a nice curve of the back, and there are certain actions that need to be there for you to get the length, get the extension, and really get the flow of energy. They're really delicious, these back bends. They create a lot of energy and strength and work. Yeah. So we'll start with standing poses in Utkatasana, and then we'll move to Dhanurasana, where you'll be on the floor, and then upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, Salabhasana, and Dhanurasana, and then Chatushpadasana. I have a time stamp that you'll be able to see at the bottom. If you want to go back and look at one of these poses, you can just go down and press that, and it will take you directly there. So if you would like to continue practicing 1 or 2, or even look at it again and get those actions, then just use the time stamp. We'll finish with a nice restful Halasana in the chair. Okay? So should we get started? You ready?
Ready?
Okay, let's do it. Hi, welcome back. This morning, Juan Carlos and I will be practicing a set of baby back bends for beginners. So let's get started. All right, so this morning we will be using a strap. So in back bending, there's the movement of the shoulder blades down, the chest lifting, the tailbone moving in. And to demonstrate the shoulder action, we're going to take the strap, and he's going to walk into it like a jacket. So I've got it, I'll turn it this way. So you bring the strap behind you. So this is against your shoulder blades. Take one strap over the shoulder, and you want to have it around the armpit area. And then take the other strap over, and you'll cross the straps. And then tighten it. So a longer strap is good. You don't have to have a longer strap, but if you have any kind of strap will do. But I'm going to have him take his hands here. First, with the hands on the hips, he's going to pull down on these straps to draw the shoulders down. So this action, we tend to lift up here. And as we lift the shoulders, we get tension here. So this will help to relax, show the direction, the action that's moving down, shoulder blades moving down, broad across the chest, and broad across the upper back. All right, now I'm going to take the strap and just turn it and twist it here a little bit higher so he can then feel that strap right in this area. Can you get that? So I'll pull it. So if you cross it even higher, if you're not getting the action, you'll be able to feel that. So he'll turn around now, just show you from the front. So what happens is the chest lifts. Usually the chest is sinking. So the back armpit chest is lifting from the back to the front, and the tops of the shoulders are rotating down. All right, I'm going to hold the strap. You just come to the side. Bring your hands on your hips, elbows bent, and draw the elbows towards you. So this is another way we work. Collarbones wide, shoulders moving back, elbows moving back, so that you're getting that action. So he's standing in Tadasana. In Tadasana, he's standing on all 4 corners of the feet, pressing down, lifting up through the kneecaps, tailbone is moving in, buttocks is moving in, and the shoulder blades are moving forward and toward the chest. So this is in Utkatasana, so he's not doing a back bend action. We're only concentrating on the action of the shoulders moving down. All right? So now let's move into the next pose. So you will go into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Let's face this direction, JC. Okay, and we want the strap on the way we had it before. So I'm going to buckle it now. So now that it's buckled, you can move into it this way, like you're putting a jacket on. And then bring this underneath. Okay, so it's the same action, I just put it on a little bit different way. Make sure you get it around the shoulders, the top of the shoulder. If you're doing this with a partner, this is how you would put it on. All right, so now go into downward dog. So in downward dog, the hands are pressing down, the forearms are moving, the arms are lifting, and you're getting a rotation from the inner arm to the outer arm. Oftentimes, the shoulders are lifting up toward the head. This is what we do when we sit all day, we lift up. So here, you're separating with the action of the lower arm and the upper arm. This is turning against the resistance of this arm, and you're broadening across the shoulders. And then you're moving the shoulders up and away. See if I can make this a little bit longer. So just holding downward dog, moving the hips back, straightening the knees, moving the knees back. So I'm going to just loop this other belt here, the bottom of this belt, so I can help him move more weight into the back area. So we tend to have too much weight in the arms and the shoulders, and so with the belt, showing you the direction, now I'm drawing up and I'm pulling back. So he's bringing, you can see his weight shift, his hips shifted back, the knees are drawn up, the calves are lengthening down toward the heels. So you're pressing the hands down. You have the distance, center of gravity here. This is moving back. This is moving, hands are moving down, lengthening the side trunk. Okay, so release. We'll take this one off. And he's going to just have the memory of that now. So he'll have the memory of the shoulders and that work we did with the shoulder blades moving down, tops of the shoulders moving down. So the trunk is moving this direction. So go back into downward dog and step your feet forward and bring them into this strap. Okay, so now I'm going to take the strap, working with the legs and moving the hips. So you can't just be working with the hands and the arms and the shoulders lifting up. You've got to move that clear back into the hips. And I'm just taking it around my hip so that I can use my weight to help him get that action. So lengthen up, lift your shoulders, shoulder blades lifting up to the side trunk, and then lifting the hips up and back. So I'm bringing all that weight back, so the backs of the thighs start to widen and fill. The inner thigh is rolling from the inside out. The outer hips are moving from the center toward the center in the front. Kneecaps are lifted. Calves are descending back. And how's that feel? Good. So it gives him extra length, extra space. So you can try this with a doorknob. So just hold that, JC. So if you have a door here, you can take this strap around the doorknob and it will hold. And then you'll be able to lengthen out. Okay, so now I'm going to take the strap and double it for the knees. So we've got the shoulder joint, we have the hip joint, and then we have the knee joint. If the knees are bent, then you're not going to get that length moving back through the legs. So we're coming up. And I'll just ask him to look. Is one strap is below the knee and one strap is above the knee. Yeah. Okay, so typically the knees are bent. So here, this will give him some information about how much he's got to move the kneecap into the knee socket. So stay connected with the hands. Press the hands firmly into the floor, pressing into the center of the palm and each finger, from the forearm down into the wrist. Lift up through the upper arm, up through the shoulders, up through the side trunk. Bring the weight back. Remember the strap on your thighs. Move the front of the thighs back, hips back. And now here, the knees are moving into the socket, lengthening the calf towards your heel. Okay, and then coming out, you're going to hold it just a moment so you can feel that impression. And then come out. Okay. So we will now get a chair. Everyone get a chair. We'll use the chair for this. We'll just put the chair here. So this next pose is Utkatasana. So Utkatasana, you first go to the wall, and Utkatasana is chair pose. So coming to the wall with your feet a little bit away from the wall, bringing the feet together, and then move your hips back to the wall. Hands on your hips. Keep your hands on your hips so you keep that movement of the shoulders moving back and the shoulders moving down. And then slide down the wall, sliding the tailbone down as you go down, getting that tuck of the pelvis, tuck of the tailbone. If you have to move your feet out a little bit further, you can. So you're bending at the ankles, you're bending the knees, and you're bending at the hips. All right, so now I'm going to get even more work with the shoulders. So take your arms just out to the side and rotate like the belt did from the top to the bottom, armpit, chest. And then get even more rotation, and then bring the arms up, and bring the thumbs to the wall. Thumbs to the wall. As you do that, press the thumbs, drop the shoulders, drop the shoulder blades, and sink down. Let your hips sink down while you continue to lift up. So using the thumb, that feeling of something to press into, to lift up, but also to descend at the same time. Breathe. Press the knees together. Thighs are rolling in. Outer hips are rolling from the out to the in, toward the hip bones. Lifting the lower ribs up, lifting the side trunk up, lifting up through the arms. All right, bring your hands down, and then come up, walk your feet back. Okay, so now we'll use the chair. And with the chair, you can bring it to the wall. So oftentimes we don't sit down far enough. So you're going to sit down in the chair. So you have to measure your distance. Sit down in the chair first so you know the chair is there. So, okay, when you're going down later, you can think in your mind, okay, I know the chair is there because I sat on it. Yeah. It's not moved. All right, so now stand up. Stand up. Good. Hands on your hips. And I think we'll just, to get that shoulder action that we had earlier, let's bring the arms into this dowel. So just turn around so we can see what's happening here in your back. So I'm bringing it up high near the shoulder blades. So he's going to iron the shoulder blades down, smoothing the shoulder blades down. Utkatasana is a slight back bend, right? This is moving in, this is moving in. Okay, so he's going to stand and then he'll sit. Find your distance again. Okay. Dropping the shoulders, back armpit, chest toward the front, lift the sternum bone. The sternum bone's quite long. Lift it up right from the center. Breathe, soften your face. Okay, and now you're going to come up. Can you come up without your arms? Okay, good. So he's coming up, and he'll keep that rotation, he'll keep that lift of the body, and he'll bend at the ankles, the knees, and the hips, tucking the tailbone under. Tailbone is moving toward the front pelvis. Keep the chest lifted. Coming down, almost touching the chair, just touching. Now lift the chest more. He can use that dowel to bring it into the shoulder blades to keep lifting the chest. Good. And then inhale, come up. So it makes it a little bit more difficult with this because he has to keep working with the chest and back bending a little bit more. So good job. So let's do it one time without. Okay, so just bring your hands onto your hips, get the rotation first, and then bring your arms up. You can have the palms facing one another, and just like we use the finger at the wall, you can take and hook the thumbs, which will help you to get that lift. This is the lift you need that length. You also need that work of the shoulders moving down. All right, so pressing down into the feet, come down and find that chair, keep lifting up through the arms, descend the tailbone, lifting the pubic bone, moving the pelvis from the back to the front. Good, so he's found the chair. The chair is just right at the tops of his thighs. He's barely touching it. He can come a little bit off of that and lift up, lift up. So now he's doing that work of bringing the shoulder blades in, keeping that lift of the chest. Good. Stay there and breathe. You can practice that any amount. Inhale, come up. Good. Bring your arms down. Stand in Utkatasana. Okay, do it one more time. With the broadness of the chest, keep the elbows moving back. And then go back into it. Press the knees together. Roll the thighs in. Now bring the elbows towards one another. That's it. Like when you had that dowel, shoulder blades in. So you can find your place on the seat, adjust your hips, adjust your chest. Inhale, come up. Okay, good. Okay, so with the chair, you would put the chair in the middle of your mat and find a place on your mat that, if you want to do it again, you'll use it as a marker. So Juan Carlos did this earlier, and he put his knees here right at the front edge of this mat. He's going to do Ustrasana, and he'll be coming onto the floor. So come on, bend your knees. Move your shins back underneath the chair. So the action we've been working with up till now has been all of that shoulder work, with the shoulders, with the harness, with the shoulder blades moving under, with the chest lifting up. Okay, so now we're going to use the chair back, to really be able to get a little bit deeper into that. So first he's just going to stretch his arms back and lengthen the arms. Okay, so from the tips of the shoulders lengthening back, dropping the tops of the shoulders, shoulder blades moving in, and chest lifting. Good. So first, straighten the arms. All right, now come up. So was that at the right place? Yeah. Okay, so you'll be able to find the right place. When I'm doing it, I have to tilt the chair to be able to get it to the right place, but he's a little bit longer, so everyone will be a little bit different. His trunk is longer. Okay, so now you want that to move in, and he can control it with his arms and with the tilt of the chair. So in this pose, you want your thighs to be, your hips to be parallel and vertical to the floor and in line with your knees. All right, so to counteract that, oftentimes we start to move back this way. So the tailbone is moving in, the middle buttocks is moving in. So I'll just demonstrate here. This is about where his tailbone is, right? Yeah, so that is moving forward. So this is kind of a memory for him now. Also, this is right along the line of the middle buttocks. So here's your top buttocks, here's your lower buttocks. This is lifting up, this is descending, and this is moving forward where the tailbone is, which helps to then open the front of the groin, open the whole front body, the front of the pelvis. And then come up. Okay, so the feet are important here. The feet need to be pressing down, the shins need to be pressing down. And for Juan Carlos, you can see here, his ankles are a little bit lifted off the floor. So I'm just going to show you what you can do when you need a little bit more foundation there. You can take a blanket and roll it. Do you think that'll be high enough for you?
Yeah.
Okay, try that. Okay, so come down on your knees. Bring your ankles over this.
Yes.
Okay, so now with his ankles pressing into the blanket, when he's lifting up, he has something to press down against. So this creates resistance for you. If you don't have anything to press into, you're in air, floating in air, and the resistance isn't that great. Okay, so from here, he'll press down into that, and then I'll just take my big toe at his tailbone, and I'll take my knee between his shoulders and get that lift. So he's lengthening, he's lifting, shoulders are moving down, back is lengthening. Okay, and then come up. All right, so now he's going to turn the toes under so that you come up on your heels. I'll have you take your hands back. All right, so now he doesn't need that blanket. He'll come up on his heels first, and then he'll come up. All right, still adjusting. He can bring his thumb right on his tailbone. So he has the memory of that moving in, the middle buttocks moving in, shoulders moving toward me, and then he can take his hands, just lean back, so now he can come off that line, lean back, take his hands on his heels, press his hands down on the heels, lift up through his arms, and lift up into that center where he was lifting up from the chair. Okay, so breathe, lengthen here. You're lengthening through the abdominal organs, so all of this area is getting some space. We're usually sitting and it's getting compressed, so it's a really great action for bringing energy and oxygen into the front body, as well as the spine. Okay, and then inhale, come up. If it's difficult for you to bring your hands onto your heels, you can take a bolster. Okay, again, if you needed that blanket underneath your ankle, press that. So you want to be well grounded with the feet, well grounded with the ankles. Important, the shins are moving down. Take your hands on your hips. Roll the shoulders back. Good. Lift the chest. And then he'll come up again, and he will get that rolling action. Remember, with the strap, with the belt, from the front armpit to the back armpit, lifting the chest. Now he presses his hands down strongly and gets that same lift he had where the chair was. Lifting up, breathing, pressing the feet down, pressing the shins down, moving that middle buttock forward, moving the tailbone in, open through the front of the groin. So that creates that extension, that opening, that delicious feeling of that nice back bend. Okay, and then you can come up. All right, I'm going to show you another one. Can you go into, take your hands back to your heels?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to flatten his feet. So if you, yeah. Put the blanket there again. You can try without the blanket, you can try with the blanket and see if you notice the difference. To be able to press down into the front of the ankle, into the shin bone, setting yourself up first. Tailbone in. Now you can see how his thighs are leaning back. So to get back to his heels, he had to come a little bit this way. So if you have to do that, that's okay. But then move the middle buttocks forward, move the tailbone in, and move your hips further forward. That's it. So if I were coming down to adjust him, I could help him with that. The tailbone is moving down, the arms are moving back, and the shoulder blades are moving in. And lift the chest. So he's bringing the head back. So this has to be moving down. The head has to lengthen. You can't just throw the head back. So if he comes up now, I'll show you something that you can do when your head is, or your neck is sore, or you don't want to take your head back. Okay, so we'll use the chair. So he's going to do all the same actions. Now, Juan Carlos, just look here. I have a blanket here where the chair rail is. So you're going to bring you're going to come back and you'll rest your head. Okay?
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah. Okay. So before you do that, just look at, you have two bones here, the occipital bones. This is a kind of a marker for you to lift up from. So the shoulders are moving down, the back of the head is lifting up, so you create that length through your neck. So you're not just throwing your head back, because you will get compression here. All right, if you already have some neck problems, then this will help, that your neck will be completely rested. Is it in the right place?
Yeah.
Okay. So now he can kind of tilt the chair, he can lean that rail right against his neck to give neck support, and then he can stay in the pose a little bit longer. So the longer he stays in the pose, the more benefit that he has, the more relaxed he can be.
You can rest here.
His face is resting, he's smiling, he's so happy.
Yeah.
So while you're there, you're just pressing the ankles down, pressing the hands down through the arms, and the arms are connecting back into the shoulder socket. The arms connecting into the shoulder socket connects with the shoulder blades and the whole upper back, which then connects with the chest. Okay? Good. Inhale, come up. All right, good. So now, just go into Adho Mukha Svanasana and take a little rest in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward dog. So lengthening out. And remembering the actions that you had with the shoulder harness, with the thighs being pulled back, with the knees opening, with the calves distending, so that you bring some intelligent action to your pose. You're not just there hanging out, but you're using the arms, you're lengthening, you're moving the hips back, you have your mind in your legs. You are understanding what's working and what's not working, and you're lengthening both. And breathe. Okay, and then come down. So now we'll take Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. So you can just start. You want to start with blocks?
Yep.
Okay. So he'll have blocks just to the side. He'll come from, so you just come down, and are those even enough? Maybe bring them forward. Okay, so he's going to lay down, and his hands are on the blocks. This gives him a little bit extra height, so you can start like this, or you can be right on the floor. But you're spreading the hands, you're moving the shoulders up away from the floor, you're moving your head up, and then you're organizing the feet. So be right on the toes. The thighs are lifting up, the kneecaps are lifting up. The legs are active. They're as active as they were in downward dog. So you're lengthening through the calf to the heel, The tailbone and the middle buttock is moving in, and the whole pelvis is going to tilt. And you'll get that same length that you had in Ustrasana, moving right up through the chest. Okay? So he'll press down into the blocks, lift the shoulders, straighten the arms. As you press down into the block, straightening and drawing the elbows into the elbow socket, and then getting that action again. Shoulder blades moving down, front chest lifting, straightening the legs, extending out through the heels. Lift and breathe. And then come down. You go up another time. So this time you can try without the blocks. Okay. So take the blocks to the side. So spread your fingers, have your hands near your chest. Have the toes under, thighs parallel to one another. Okay, and now because he had lift before with the blocks, he could move his chest forward. So we'll just show you where your chest needs to go and how you can support yourself a little bit more. So lift up. So he's lifting up. Okay. So now, oftentimes what happens, why don't you come down and bring your hands forward a little bit. Okay, and then come up. So this is how it looks usually when I see it. The shoulders are lifting, the shoulder blades are coming up, the chest is not very far forward. Okay, so now come down, take your hands back, and get that rotation of the shoulder blades. Get that, remember the memory of the chair at the back, and then inhale, lift up. Good. Now walk your toes forward, walk your chest forward, even more. Lifting your thighs. So you can walk the legs forward to start to bring the chest forward of the arms. So you don't want the chest behind the arms. And then exhale, coming down. So it's a strong pose, and if you connect everything that we've been doing with the shoulder action, with the length through the front body, with the action through the legs, then you'll be able to create that extension. So the legs are moving in one direction, the body is moving in the other direction. Okay, so that was good. All right, so we demonstrated, or Juan Carlos demonstrated, hands on the blocks and then hands on the floor. If you found hands on the floor too difficult, or even hands on the blocks and you're not able to get that lift yet, let's just show you with the chair and a bolster. Okay, so with the chair you're going to be coming up higher, and you'll use the bolster for the pelvis. So the pelvis will be here, your arms will be here, and you'll be lifting up. So you come up. So you bring pelvis right to the front of the chair. And extend your legs back. So the legs are active, extending through the legs, tailbone moving, so you can feel the pelvis pressing to the front of the chair, and you have a nice cushion there, so it feels good. And then from there, using that as like a fulcrum, so you can lift up from the front pelvis. You can lift up from that pelvis where it's hooked onto the chair, lift the chest. With your hands on the chair, find a position that you can start to get that same action, rolling your shoulders back, lifting the chest. Now remember when we did downward dog and I had the strap on the knees. So you want to have that same action of the knees lifting up toward the floor as if you still had that strap, and then extend the calves down toward your heels. So the legs are lengthening strongly as you move the pelvis forward and lift up through the chest. So he's going to lift the head and then bring that shoulder blade down, bring the tops of the shoulders down, and then lengthen the head. And when you're beginning, if that doesn't feel comfortable, just lengthen the head and look forward. Okay, and then come down. So given you're doing this at home, you can do that as many times as you like. All right, so now we'll take the bolster away and we'll use a strap. So have your strap. Okay, so now this next one, Juan Carlos will be laying on the floor face down. So here the front groin is on the floor. So that means the tailbone is moving straight down. So oftentimes when we're on the floor, the hips are lifting a little bit. So just watch that you have that same action you had when the bolster was at the, or your pelvis was at the bolster, tailbone moving down, middle buttocks moving down, opening the front groin, lengthening the legs, pressing the feet down strongly. Okay, and then he's going to, so that's just what it's going to look like. Now he's going to put the shoulder strap on. Okay, so come up. Sorry. This way.
Okay. Yes.
So it goes across the shoulder blades.
Yeah.
And then over the arms. Okay, and then you can unbuckle it, because for this one you'll use straight arms behind you.
Straight.
Yeah, yeah. So he's going to, when he comes down, he's going to take his hands on these straps.
Yes.
Let me adjust it so that it's long on both sides. It's even.
Yeah.
Yep. Hooking the tops of the shoulders. Pull that strap down. Okay, then you come down. I'll hold the straps. You come down. So now here, remember we talked about the feet being so important. Here you're not, the full pose, the feet and the legs will be lifting, but here he's just going to get the lift of the shoulders. So he'll press the feet down, he'll press the ankles down. I'm going to give him that blanket again. You can use a blanket, you can use a towel, whatever you need to. So he can feel that and press against it. So as he's pressing that, he's going to lift the shoulders, stretch the arms back, and lift the chest. Tailbone is moving in, and then coming down. Okay, so when you come up, you want to first think about lengthening here. So you're not just lifting up, otherwise you're going to compress your middle back, just like I was talking about the neck. So as you fix this buttock down and you lengthen, think about lengthening first and then lifting up and moving the shoulders in. So it's lengthening, lift the head, look up, good. So lengthening the front body, lift up, stretch the arms back. Good. And then come down, exhale. All right, so we won't use the strap anymore on the shoulders. So in Salabhasana, why don't you go ahead and show the full pose. So in Salabhasana, we were stretching the arms back, the chest is lifted, the same action of the shoulder blades, and then lifting the legs. You can start with your legs wider, the legs start to move closer. The more that you practice, you're lifting the legs, but the tailbone is moving down. So you can see it's a difficult pose. Bring the arms down, bring the legs down. Okay, and then come up. So now we're going to work on the legs. See what help we can provide to the legs to get the right action. So you buckle this one. So I have two buckled straps, and you're going to bring these on your ankles. So you bring both feet together and have a buckle on the outside. And then you have the other buckle on the other outside. So you're using two straps, buckles on the outside.
Both of the ankle?
Yeah. So this would be, you don't have to make it so tight. Okay, there we go. Now we've got our two straps. So lay back down.
So nice. Yeah.
Face down. Okay, so the buckles on the right ankle and the buckle's on the left. And then I have the tails, and I'm bringing the tails up for him. Okay, stretch your arms back behind you. Okay, bend your knees and walk your hands down the strap a little bit more. So he's going to, if he can come a little bit closer, maybe just stop there, and then he'll see he's going to lift the chest, and then he's going to lift the legs up. So bend the knees first, bend the knees first. Walk your hands down a little closer. Okay, keep the legs lifted up, and now straighten the arms and stretch out through the legs. So it gives you a little bit more access to the legs. Moving your shoulders back, lift the chest, look up. Tailbone in. And then come down. So you can try one more time, see if you can come a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah.
So a little bit closer to the feet. So you have to play with this, and you have to see what's your maximum. Where are you able to feel the action? So he's able to hold on to that, press his feet away, lift his chest, and straighten his legs. So he's really working with the legs, tailbone in, moving the shoulders back. Good? Okay, so that's another way to use the strap with the legs. You breathing?
A little bit.
Okay, back bends are always fun. They're energizing, they're heating to the body, and they really are so beneficial for you. So enjoy that. All right, so now just lay down on the floor without the straps.
Without the straps.
So the next one is Dhanurasana. Okay, we'll take the blanket away. You won't need the blanket now. Okay, so first, when you go into any of these lying back bends, you want to make sure that you adjust your legs. So you're right on the center. You lift your legs. This thigh is rolling in. This thigh is rolling out. Okay? This is moving this way. So you're widening through here. You're rolling the thigh in. You're stretching out through the legs. So always adjusting the hips so you can feel those front groins on the floor and the pelvis on the floor. All right, now he's going to bend his knees, bring the feet up toward the ceiling, and then you'll take your right arm back, take hold of the foot, and then just pause there. So you may find that your legs have splayed apart, so you want the thighs to be parallel to one another. And then again, see if you've lost it here in the center. So the tailbone is moving down, pelvis lengthening, look up, and just adjust your arms. So first you want to get the rotation of your arms, rotation of the shoulders, keeping the head just looking forward. All right, and then you're right on the pelvis. You're right on the abdominal area. And so now he's going to lift the feet up, straight up toward the ceiling, resisting with the arms. So the feet are pressing up and back, shoulders are moving back, look up, lengthen, tailbone in. Good, getting that curve of the back, getting that length and that curve at the same time. Having the memory of your strap on your shoulder blades. Now bring the thighs towards one another. Good. Leaning back, bring your weight back more. Lift the toes up toward the ceiling. And then exhale, come down. So what the legs like to do is to move apart. So you have to constantly think about, okay, how can I create this action of the thighs rolling in instead of the thighs rolling out? So from the back of the lower back, this is widening, moving all the way to the hip bones. So there's this action, there's this action. So when you're in that pose, you're still getting that action of the outer inward. So if you take your knees apart, then what you get is you get some compression in the lower back. So always just checking yourself to make sure those thighs are parallel. So do it one more time. So that's why you adjust the legs when you first start. The thighs are parallel to one another. You can feel the front groin, tailbone, middle buttocks. Take hold of the feet. Now he can he can flex his feet and draw his toes back. And when he comes up, he can stretch his toes back and his shin bones back, which will help to get this lift here in the front chest. So go ahead, lifting, pressing the toes back. Keep the firmness on the outer knees, outer thighs moving towards one another. Good, breathing there, that length through the spine, lifting up through the front body. And now stretch the toes up without bringing the knees out. Stretch the toes up any amount without flexing the feet and lift up. So you're lifting the legs and the chest up. Breathe. And then release. Exhale, coming down. So, in between, you take a little rest just to allow the oxygen to move, the blood flow to move. Maybe go into Adho Mukha Svanasana as a release. So all the same actions that we started with. The hands on the floor, forearms lifted, lifting up into the upper arm, into the shoulder socket, connecting with the arms, moving the shoulder blades up toward the hips, the pelvis turning, tailbone moving down, pubic bone lifting, thighs moving back, inner thighs rolling back. Same legs as when you're on the floor doing Salabhasana or the last pose. The inner thigh is rotating from the inner to the outer. This is broad and wide, extending through the heels. Okay, and then come down, forward Virasana. Stretch your arms forward, just take a little rest. So even here in forward Virasana, he's anchoring with his hands, lengthening back with his arms, keeping the hips heavy. So the hips move down. And here you're, again, moving the shin bone down onto the floor, the front of the ankle down. Okay, that's your rest. Come up. Okay, so this next pose, Chatushpadasana, you'll be lying on your back to set up with. And you're going to get that same rotation of the shoulders, the same downward action of the tops of the shoulders, shoulder blades. So turn your arms out, roll the arms out. And you'll be taking hold of the feet, either by holding the ankles or you'll hold onto the strap. Okay, so we'll first just start with the strap. So I've got this one long strap, and then I'm going to give him like a hook there, or a loop, so he can bring both hands around the strap. So he's holding the fronts of both ankles. And with that, if it's difficult for you to hold your ankles, this will be a good start, all right? So feet are parallel to one another. Again, thighs are parallel to one another. Plant your feet on the floor so you're pressing down, because your base now will be your feet and your shoulders. So he'll just, without lifting up, he'll lift up just slightly, his hips lift up, and stretch his arms down. So he can start walking his hands closer to his ankles. All right, and with that, he's tucking one shoulder under, the other shoulder under, getting that same exact action that we had with the harness. All right, and with that, he lifts up. So tailbone moves up, pelvis lifts up, back ribs, shoulder blades into the body, chest lifting, pulling that strap to get that action of the spinal area lifting, the pelvis lifting, opening through the front groin, and then the same work with the thighs. Thighs are rolling in, so the legs are not splaying apart. So you've got some broad action here of the middle back, and then come down. Okay, he'll do it one more time. I'm just going to bring the strap on his middle back and pull up a little bit so you can see. This is the heaviest part of the body here, and this is really where you want to remember to draw up. So I'm going to come here to the side. Shoulders pressing down, feet pressing down, and then squeeze your thighs towards my thigh. Lift up. So there's a lot more you can lift up. And then I'll release it.
In the chest also. Chest is also nice. In the chest.
Yeah, so when I lifted him like that, his chest lifted a lot more. So you could see that. Let's try one more time, in case you didn't see that. So there's only so much that he's able to do without that help. So you want to press into the shoulders, press into the feet, and I'll lift him up.
Yeah.
See the chest lifting.
You can put the belt also behind my scapulas.
Yes, yes. So here, I'm at the tailbone, at the buttocks, and I'm pulling back and lifting up. So it's lengthening his tailbone. Okay, holding that. And then come down. But before you come down, here, I'll just show you with the chest. Okay, so if your chest isn't lifting, if you have a friend that can help you out, bring that right behind the shoulder blades. This is where we had the harness. So I'm pulling here, and then he's lifting where he was lifting, or where I was lifting earlier. You see he's got a lot more height there. So you're using the feet, you're using the shoulders and the arms, and you're drawing yourself up. And then release.
The help is amazing.
So that is working with the shoulder blades the way we were working earlier. The tailbone is moving down and lifting up through the pelvis. Okay, so now we will go into Halasana. So you'll come into a resting pose. We'll do half Halasana on the chair, okay? He's very excited about that because it's very restful. Okay, so you'll have your chair.
Blankets.
Could use a bolster, or you want to use blankets? So having a couple of blankets. Do you want 2 or 3?
I think 2.
Okay. So just make sure your blankets are folded nicely. The rolled part will be where your neck is. Okay, so his head will be here, his shoulders will be here, and then he'll bring his legs up and over. So now, depending on the size of your trunk, you may need to lift and have the chair a little bit higher. Let's see how you do. So tips of the shoulders are just back, about a thumb's width away. So he'll measure there to make sure his shoulders are back. You don't want to be right on the edge because the momentum and the sliding of the shoulders, actually I like to have a mat there.
Or a bolster.
Yeah, and he can have his hips on a bolster.
Or we can roll the chairs back. Roll the chair back. Here.
So we'll take the mat back here. So this will be for his arms. This will be for his hips to come up on. So if it's difficult for you to lift up, you can have the bolster underneath. They give you a little bit more height. Okay, so he's got the width on for his shoulders, and then lift the knees up and swing the hips up. You can press your fingers into the bolster and lift the hips up. And then you'll take your hands on the back. I'm just going to let him come a little bit deeper into this chair. So I'm going to move the chair in so he can have the thighs resting. How's the height on this?
Perfect.
So here, bringing the elbows towards one another, walk the hands down the back and take the fingers and the thumbs and press the fingers into the back, moving the back forward as you press the hands into the ribs. Pressing the shoulders down, upper arms down. Your elbow's not on here. So he actually needed a little bit wider surface there. But you can see here, he could have a little bit more height. So we want to get length here so his lower back is rested. So he's going to take his legs up. You can even bring the feet to the back of the chair, depending on how much height you need. So if you need more height, just more rest for the back, you can come up to the back of the chair. If not, take your feet into the chair and rest your thighs. So if you were doing Halasana on the floor without the chair, your feet would be on the chair and your thighs would be lifting. You can see how his feet are lifting up. If I had a weight bag, I would press this here on his feet because you want the thighs lifting. You want the hips lifting. And to make it completely restful, you could how's that? You want it higher on your thighs?
Probably closer to my belly.
Yeah. So the chair, really, when we set up, we should have put it a little bit closer. Can you bring your legs up, come into shoulder stand? Okay, so setting up, you can bring the chair closer so that when you come down, your front thigh is on that chair. So bring one leg through and then the other, carefully. Then scoot yourself in. And then once you're there and you have that support, you can release your arms out to the side. You can keep the arms on the back, you can release the arms, whichever is going to feel more comfortable. If you need the arm support on the back, then keep the arms there. And then just allow yourself to be here so that you just are in a restful state. The eyes are completely supported. You're still getting that lift and openness of the chest. Your heart is above your head. And that blood flow moving down to the brain helps you to relax, become quiet. So this is nice to do after you're doing back bending. If you've exerted a lot of energy and you're tired from back bending, then this is a nice pose to be in to recover and rest, but also giving that length to your back. All right, and then coming out. Take your hands behind you and move your hips down. All right, and then slide your head and shoulders off that platform toward this end. Yeah, toward that end. So once you come out of the inversion, you want to have the whole shoulder girdle and the back off that platform, the head off that platform, a little bit further toward the end of the mat. And then stretch your legs out. So just a little mini Bandha. So you can bring some relaxation to the back, let the shoulders rest, allow the breath to become steady and relaxed. Just feel that you moving to a quiet, deep place within. All right, so when you're coming out of inversion, you come out that way, and then you'll bend your knees, roll onto your right, and you can come into Savasana. So you roll your mat back, take your blankets away. You can use one blanket for your head if you'd like. So we're working with the shoulders. So I'm going to have Juan Carlos show you without the blanket, and if he had stiff shoulders. So lie down. So you can see here the shoulders are lifting up. And when someone's really stiff, the shoulders are lifting so much that the chin is tilting up, like this. Okay, but now we've worked a lot with our shoulders, so you should be more open. He's definitely more open, so he doesn't really need the blanket, but if you do need a blanket under your head for support, you would bring the blanket like that so that this head is lengthening, the neck is lengthening. So the first correction you can make is to lengthen your neck. If that doesn't work, then bring a blanket there to support the neck. Then just relax the shoulders, and one at a time, you will, with the feet on the floor, thighs parallel, stretch one leg out and then the other leg out. And just feel grounded on the shoulders. Feel grounded through the feet, the legs, the hips. And feel that symmetry through both sides. So he's turning the arms out to get that rotation. But bring the hands so they're about a foot and a half away from the side trunk. If you bring the arms too high, they'll create tension in the shoulders. So bringing a little bit closer to the body, and with that rotation that you've been working on all morning, with the arm turning, the shoulder turning, that turns so much that the palm turns out up toward the ceiling. And then let the inner legs roll out, big toe to the little toe side. And he could stay here all day. So I'm going to let him stay, and you can stay in Savasana as well. So enjoy your practice. We'll see you next time. Namaste. Thanks for showing up and doing all this hard work. Especially thank you to Juan Carlos.
Thank you, my teacher.
If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the section below, and we'll be sure to get back to you. So happy practicing.